So the mayor of Kyiv, Ukraine, and the president of Ukraine do not get along. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the long-standing feud between the mayor of Kyiv, Ukraine, Vitaly Klitschko, and the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, as I said, this has been going on for quite a long time. This is not anything new. The mayor of Kyiv has been there since 2014, so there's been years of this back and forth. However, it's been kicked up a notch recently. Vitaly spoke to German news outlet Der Spiegel, in which he called Zelensky basically a dictator who is shaping Ukraine into an authoritarian state, just like the Russian Federation. And just like Russia, Vitaly says that the fate, the future of Ukraine is in the palm of one man's hands. And however his mood is will determine Ukraine's future. Now, there's a lot in this interview that I agree with, although I'm not a Ukraine supporter or, quite frankly, a Russia supporter. I don't think we should be involved at all, meaning giving weapons, money, military, boots on the ground, nothing. I'm not for foreign intervention. If they have a beef between those two countries, then let them handle it out between them. Let's have it be Ukraine versus Russia rather than Ukraine and the West versus Russia and the East. That shouldn't be the way it is, in my humble opinion. That's kind of a World War III proxy, but different story. I digress. Before I get into the article, if that name sounds familiar to you, Vitaly Klitschko, yes, that's the same person, the heavyweight champ, former heavyweight champ over here in the U.S. Him and his brother were heavyweight champs. Vladimir Klitschko. These guys were amazing fighters. And now Vitaly is a politician. He's been the mayor of Kyiv, Ukraine since 2014. Now, let's get to the article here. This is New York Times. And of course, this will be in the box. You see the headline, Zelensky turning Ukraine into authoritarian state, just like Russia, says Kyiv mayor in shocking interview. Let's go ahead and get to the content here. So it says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is becoming an autocrat who is reshaping Ukraine into an authoritarian state, no different than Russia, Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko has shockingly claimed. Klitschko, former heavyweight boxing champ turned politician, took the unprecedented step of publicly attacking Zelensky, an ex-comedian and actor. I can't believe this guy became the president, but anyway, an ex-comedian and actor, so vehemently for the first time since Russia's invasion of Ukraine 21 months ago. Almost 2 years ago, that's been going on. Will it come to an end anytime soon? I doubt it. But anyway, while the pair have been political foes, such a blistering public condemnation was still shocking to many given the country's war crisis. Quote, at some point, we would no longer be any different from Russia, where everything depends on the whim of one man, Klitschko said in a new interview with the German news outlet Der Spiegel. Klitschko, who has served as the mayor of Kyiv since 2014, praised his fellow mayors and regional governors for thwarting Ukraine's descent into authoritarianism. Quote, there is currently only one independent institution, but enormous pressure is being exerted on it, local self-government. So it looks like your local places are separated away from what they're doing in the federal government. You know, that appears to be what's going on, and there's a rift between the two. All right, so now Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko has sharply criticized Zelensky for his handling of the war. What kind of face is this? And I hate when he shows up and he speaks and he goes places and he wears sweatshirts and things of this nature. It's like, are you going to the gym or are you going to a real place with real people? This whole act, I just don't like. And this face, I mean, what kind of drugs does that? I'm not sure, but anyway. Zelensky is accused of turning into an isolated autocrat, not unlike Putin. That's what they say about Putin. I'm not quite sure if that's true or false, but it's interesting to hear people's opinion who are actually in Ukraine, who are actually in leadership roles. Let's keep on going. And then let's not even talk about all the corruption that happens in Ukraine. The corruption is crazy. Ukraine might be the most corrupt place on planet Earth, worse than some of these African nations dealing with Chinese people. But anyway, Klitschko, who has clashed with Zelensky since the start of the war over the poor state of Kyiv's emergency shelters, claimed that the president has become isolated and that they have never met or spoke to another. Okay, that they don't meet or speak to one another, even though their offices are located only a short distance apart. Probably right there in Kyiv. It's stupid. In a separate sit-down with the Swiss news site 20 Minutes, Klitschko accused Zelensky of lying to the public about Ukraine's progress into the bloody conflict. The mayor said he agreed with General Valery, I cannot pronounce that last name, General Valery, how about that? The Ukrainian military's commander-in-chief, when he said last month that the war got into a stalemate after a disappointing counteroffensive that failed to deliver a decisive blow to Russian President Vladimir Putin's forces. You're not going to win that war. And I think people around the world know that Ukraine cannot win. It's impossible. They keep begging the outside world for arms and money and all this and that. And the third, all that we're doing really is just keeping the war going to try and weaken Russia. That's all. Rather than going to Russia and fighting them, we're trying to make Ukraine fight for us. They even said it. I'm not even making it up. I saw somebody, I forget who it was, but it was a politician in government in Washington who said that Ukraine is fighting Russia for us. This is a proxy war that is not designed for Ukraine to win. It's not designed for Ukraine to become more successful or at the end of it liberated. Either Ukraine is going to be basically colonized by NATO or colonized by Russia. They're not going to be a free place, in my humble opinion, but let's keep on going. Valerie warned that the war could drag on for years and pour cold water over the prospect of a beautiful breakthrough. Watch this. This is really something serious. Unless Ukraine comes up with a game changer similar to the invention of gunpowder. I mean, you got to basically reinvent the wheel or invent the wheel for the very first time to have a chance, which is the truth. Everybody knows this. There's no way they're going to be able to win. Zelensky bristled at Valerie's comments to The Economist, insisting that the conflict, despite slowing down in recent weeks, was anything but a stalemate. Valerie told the truth, Klitschko said. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. Of course, we can euphorically lie to our people and our partners, but you can't do that forever. Some of our politicians have criticized Valerie for the clear words, wrongly. I stand behind him. So Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv, who's coming out against Zelensky, is saying, hey, the military commander, he's telling the truth. We're not succeeding. We're at a stalemate at best. A stalemate at best, and at worst, they're actually losing. This is just an obvious fact that's going on, but we continue. So Klitschko 52 argued that Zelensky's popularity has been declining since the start of the war in February 2022, when he emerged into the world stage as a symbol of Ukraine's struggle for survival, and the mayor predicted that the president will eventually find himself out of power as payback for his mistakes. People see who's effective and who's not, and there were and still a lot of exceptions. Zelensky is paying for mistakes he has made. Klitschko reprised a claim often repeated by Zelensky's critics that Ukraine's president downplayed the risk of Russian invasion until it was too late, leaving the country badly unprepared for Putin's occupying forces. All right, so that's what's happening right here. There's more, but I will link to it in the box. Let me just read this last piece right here. Zelensky's office has not responded publicly to Klitschko's claims, but in his nightly address to the nation Monday, Zelensky appeared to take a veiled swipe at his critics, saying that he was grateful, quote, to those who do not put their personal interests above the interests of the Ukrainian state. Really, really interesting choice of language. Don't put yourself ahead of the state. Very, very autocratic sounding. Maybe it's just me. But as I close, I want to say this. What the mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, what he said is correct. You can't just keep lying. If you say that Ukraine is successful and that there's not a stalemate, and again, that's at best a stalemate. Really, if you ask me, they're losing. If not for the West and our constant infusion of billions of dollars, Ukraine would have been lost the war and it would have been no contest. No contest. I mean, look, Russia already took Donbass. They took Crimea. They will have the entire state if not for the West. But also, if not for the West, then there will be no need for Russia to take Ukraine. The West is trying to take Ukraine for themselves. So there's a tug of war going on. Who's going to have Ukraine? Is it going to be the West or is it going to be Russia? There's not going to be an independent Ukraine. I wish everybody the best, but I think that the West is the aggressor here. And if they backed off and they weren't trying to, encroach upon Russia's borders this way, the way they did with Finland, the way they did with the Baltic states, if they would just back off, then it wouldn't be a problem. That's going to be a constant tug of war. It's going to be fighting there for a long time, and so be it. I wish that it wasn't that way. I wish that the world would be at peace, but I don't think it's the West, and especially not the United States, role to get in the middle of it and to try and put our own interests in the mix of this proxy war. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what the mayor of Kyiv, Ukraine, Vitaly Klitschko, said about the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. What the mayor said was right. What the military commander said was right. Ukraine's not winning. Anybody can see it. And again, if not for the West and specifically the United States, if not for us keep giving them money and weapons, this war would have been lost. And maybe, just maybe, that might be for the best. Maybe that might be for the best. I'm just saying. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.